Dan Campbell spoke to the media today, actually minutes ago, and he talked about losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. So let's hear from Dan Campbell on that possibility. Here it is.
Do you expect to lose one or both coordinators at this point?
I would expect to lose both, but I haven't been told anything. I've got a feeling, but I'm prepared to lose both.
Do you expect to lose?
All right, you heard him. Expect to lose both. And, I think that's a fair thing to say, right? Ben Johnson, it's already being reported that he's interested in a couple of jobs, the Raiders probably being the biggest job that he could go to. I don't think it's a great job. I still don't, but that's what's been reported that he's the most interested in. Aaron Glenn, the Saints, the Jets, two jobs that he's interested in as well. I think he goes to the Saints if I had to pick one of those jobs. But the Lions are in a situation that a lot of franchises go through. When you're good, you're going to lose your coaches. You're going to lose your coordinators. And the thing we talked about this season is, wow, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson are still here. And that's a great thing for the Detroit Lions, but it's not going to be for long, okay? Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are going to go. They're going to be head coaches somewhere else. And Dan Campbell's job as a head coach is to replenish and to find great coaches to bring in here and coach a very talented football team. He mentioned with Ben Johnson in the offensive side that he wants to bring in someone that won't change what they're doing, but just basically add to it. That's really what he wants. Keeping the same terminology. They have a system that works. Jared Goff's thrived in this system. So Dan doesn't want to break, it's like fixing something that's not broken. You don't want to do that. You don't want to bring in an offensive coordinator that has a completely different philosophy than what you're already used to. So in my opinion, I think what makes the most sense for the Detroit Lions is to promote Tanner Engstrand to be the offensive coordinator. It's someone that's been in this system, someone that's been alongside Ben Johnson the last 2 years, and someone that's already taken interviews to be an offensive coordinator elsewhere. And I don't think he'll go with Ben Johnson. He very well could, and then Dan would have to at that point find someone else. But I think Tanner makes the most sense. If you're Tanner, why wouldn't you want to stay here and be the offensive coordinator for a top 5 offense at the minimum? In an offense that just last season, or this past season, now for the Lions, it's the offseason, was a top 5 offense. They averaged like top 5 points per game in NFL history. So, yeah, for Tanner Engstrand, it makes perfect sense. Now, for the defensive side of the ball, we'll see what happens with Kelvin Shepherd. I don't think both hires will be from within. That's my opinion. I think one of them will be, and I think that's Tanner Engstrand. As much as I like Kelvin Shepherd, I think AG brings Kelvin with him, and at that point, Dan would have to find a defensive mind. And I spoke about it today on the live stream. I go live every Monday morning. And I talked about Robert Saleh being the number one guy for me. I think Robert Saleh would be excellent here. And I know the 49ers are going to want him back with them. But if I'm Robert Saleh, why wouldn't you want to coach this defense, who next season will be one of the favorites to win a Super Bowl? It makes a ton of sense for Robert Saleh. I think it's the perfect situation. Now, there's other guys that are going to be available. Dennis Allen, Lou Anarumo, who was the defensive coordinator of the Bengals, who has ties with Dan Campbell back in Miami. So I think the defensive side of the ball, that hire will be from outside the organization. That's where I'm at right now, guys. I think it's Robert Saleh if I had to pick, but you never know with what's going to transpire. So that's who I think the two coaches will be. I think it'll be Tanner Engstrand on the offensive side, and I'll go Robert Saleh on the defensive side, or at least some other outside hire. That's where I'm at with it. And I'm comfortable. They have a lot of talent. And Dan Campbell's going to be heavily involved in the offense. So that's why I think with Tanner, it would be a smoother transition, because I know Tanner's never been an OC, but I think he's ready for it. And Dan will be there every step of the way to kind of oversee everything. On defense, Dan isn't as involved. So you want someone that's kind of already been doing it and used to doing it. You don't want two new coordinators taking first-time jobs. It'd be Kelvin Shepherd and Tanner Engstrand. I don't know how comfortable I would feel with that. But what do you guys think? Comment down below. Who will be the next offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and where do Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson go? Dan also stated it's not for sure that they're both going to leave, but he's prepared to lose both. And I would tend to agree with him at this point. I think there's a chance Ben comes back, but I think Aaron Glenn is definitely out of the door. But comment down below. Love to read the comments. You can check us out live tonight, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're live every weekday. We're going to break down the loss, talk about what's going on with the Lions coaches, and much, much more. But until then, we'll catch you all. Hey, What's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.